So there's just aliveness, there's just what's appearing to happen. Um, there tends to be a sense that there's a you that it's happening to. So there's not just what's appearing to happen, there's life and me with my life. It's a lived reality for many. Um, this is the illumination that lived reality is a story, that sense, that lived sense of feeling that you're in the body, that you have a body, and that you have a life is all a story. It's an additional overlay to what appears to be happening. Once there is that sense of that really felt, lived sense of feeling that you are an individual, there's a yearning then for simply whatever is appearing to happen. So there's a sense of there's me and the world. And so it feels as though something has been lost, although most people wouldn't describe it in these terms. They would have a sense that something's missing. And so there's a yearning for something that they can't quite grasp or put their finger on or describe or know. And everyone yearns and seeks and searches in a unique way. For some, there's a sensitivity that nothing material will fulfill, that nothing that the usual things in the world that should fulfill them and make them happy and complete them, that there's something other than that. And so there's some people become seekers or and they feel that maybe if it's not something, that it's a no thing. So it's maybe a spiritual experience or an awakening or a realization, a liberation. In this area of non-duality, it's imagined as a falling away of me. So there's this concept, imagined concept of what it is that they're yearning for, even if it's a gaining of something or if it's a loss of something. In this area, it's usually a loss of something. When I fall away, when the sense of separation falls away, I'm still here. So it's a rejection of already what is in favor of this concept of what it is they're looking for. And actually what's yearned for is not imaginable. It's not conceivable or knowable. It's totally beyond knowing and understanding. And it's immediately just already whatever appears to be. It's sitting on a chair, sounds, a thought, emotion, whatever. It's just whatever appears to be. It's very simple and very ordinary. And it's too ordinary for the individual. The individual is a dualistic play of special, not special, good, bad, so on, and continually overlooks and rejects what's yearned for in favor of what they imagine that they're looking for. So in favor of rejecting what is in favor of what could be or might be. And so that's that continued sense of something being around the corner, around the next corner, and so on. So this is simply an illumination of all of that. So if there's a sense of that sense of being separate or whatever it is, then this is an illumination of that is artificial, it's an additional software, it's whatever. And that really held sense of being separate can just apparently collapse. So it's all energetic, it's a resonance. It's not about understanding or knowing. So you can't go right or wrong. Doesn't matter. We'll see what appears to happen. You can either put your hand up or you just jump right in as well. Or put a comment, but please don't let me read too much. I see you're putting your hand up in the screen, so I guess you want to addendum, is it? You're muted though.
Is that better? That's better.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So after the apparent self drops away, is there a shift in the patterns of ethical behavior and tendencies within that apparent person?
Ethical behavior is part of the story of you being a separate individual. It's the story that you have a life and you're living your life, and that you're in control of your life, and you're managing your life in congruence with a belief system or ethics that you have taken on. So that's all of that's a story when it's seen that you don't have a life and you're not doing anything.
So
all of that just collapses, because like the sense that you're going to do such and such a thing because you believe such and such a thing is all just within the dream that you are a person with a life who has control over a life. So all of that collapses. So there's just, like, I can't say what it's an apparent collapse. So there's not really a collapse of an individual, because what's seen is there never was an individual, that it was just always a story. So it's an apparent collapse. And I can't describe what would appear to be then or not be or whatever. It would be apparently different and it's indescribable also. It's not, nobody can ever describe it. What was the other thing you said? I just got the ethics part. There was something else I think you said. Tendencies, was it?
I guess it would require a value judgment, but I'm just wondering if your actions become less self-centered, they could arguably be more altruistic or benevolent to.
The difficulty with altruistic and benevolent is that it's for an other. So it's still within the story of me. So people who think that they act in the interest of other people are only acting in the interest of themselves, because they're acting, it's in their story that there's an other person that they are helping, and they're actually only just helping themselves. And when there's that sense of being separate is no longer, what's very clear is there is no other either. So that's obviously, when there's no you, there's no other person over there. Helping could appear to happen or not, but it wouldn't be anything to do with you.
So did any of Kenneth's so-called desires and habits remain way?
Yeah, everything just kind of continues as before, really, but there's nobody doing it. That's the difference. And then there's certain things that I would say collapse immediately. They just collapse immediately because they were that pattern or whatever was really being driven by a sense of being separate. So some things appear to completely collapse. Some things appear to continue, and it doesn't actually matter at all. I can't describe to you how it was different. Nobody will ever be able to describe that to you. There is differences because the neurotic sense of having a life is just gone. So energetically, it's different. But how it's different is it's just indescribable, really. And it's not different in the way that the person thinks it's different, because the person would think, if they like if you fall away, then you'll be more altruistic and kinder to other people and all. It's just this concept of how it would be to not be there or whatever. It's absolutely stunningly ordinary. I could never convey how ordinary it is. And this is the whole thing about what's being searched for. It's too ordinary and obvious and open and just already the case.
So you still enjoy music and have the urge
music is enjoyed, yeah. Have the urge to what, sorry?
To play music, to express yourself through music, or the apparent self, or I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah, the music is just an interest here in this character. Yeah, enjoyment of music. There's nowhere to get to with it, though. There's no end place to get to with anything. There's playing guitar, and there's the limitations that are here and the way of expressing on it, but it is as it is. There's no destination, maybe is the word I'm looking for. There's no destination with it. The other thing I noticed that was different maybe was I used to go to concerts almost religiously. Like, wouldn't miss a concert of certain artists, and that just collapsed completely because if I didn't go, I wasn't missing anything. It was about something else. There was an element of that was about the sense of being separate or something. I don't know. That's the only thing I can really kind of think of that changed around that. And then it was very obvious with music that nobody makes music, nobody owns music, it's just appearing to come from that. Nobody has it, or it just appears to come from a body mind, and it's just energy. So the idea that someone would be the owner of music, this is this song and they wrote it, it's their song. It's just so ridiculous, really.
Okay, I'll let someone else chime in if they
Yeah,
like.
thank you. Nice to speak to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Lauren.
Hello. Hi, Kenneth.
Hiya. How you doing?
I'm great. I was just weeping during your introduction.
Oh, it was that bad. At least it got some reaction.
Yeah. And there was a sense of this, like, oh yes, that's that, that's I remember that. Something
Oh,
like,
yeah, totally. And it's immediate, funny enough. It's just there's a boundlessness to this communication. There's nothing to do at all with Kenneth or anybody, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's just if there's an openness to it, or a sensitivity to it, or whatever word, it just resonates immediately, and it's stunning. Yeah.
Yeah.
A remembering of what was never lost.
Amazing. And it's so exciting at the same time. I obviously have, an apparent history of seeking, but the question I guess that I have is, sometimes it seems like I can see around the energy of driving for something else, that this isn't it, like that's somehow like an energy or energetic that's in the way of what is. But at the same time, the message that is shared from radical people like you all, I would like to say you, but I don't know for sure, is that that's it too.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Of course it is, yeah.
So it's just baffling that there can be a sense of being stuck in that, because no one is there to be stuck anyway. So
yeah, there is nobody to be, there is no individual. There never has been an individual. There's no individual on this call here. There isn't even a Zoom call. Like everything is and isn't. The individual that feels separate doesn't see the isn't. It's not possible.
yeah, when I
So there's in the story, there's a Zoom call and there's people, X amount of people on it. It's just a story. There's already no individual, but then this sense of being separate appears to happen. It's just an appearance. And then there can be an openness, a sensitivity, an openness, a resonance that contracted sense of being separate isn't actually, it's only an appearance, it's not real. And there can just be what's appearing to happen, and it can be just very obvious that even if it's that sense of being separate, that's just also what's appearing to happen, and it's game over then. Because obviously then there's nothing that isn't it, like.
Yeah.
It's just inescapable then. There's just aliveness then. There's just what's appearing to happen then.
Okay, and nothing is required.
Oh yeah, what could be required? What if there would only be something required if there really was somebody who was separate, who had a life, and then there would be something missing or required, or there would be somewhere to get or something to do. Then it's only in the mind of the individual that there's something required, and that comes from the sense that there is life there and there's me here, and then there's something missing. Of course there's a sense there's something missing, because wholeness, everything has been lost, because there's little me and a big world out there.
Yeah. One of the things seemingly I can't shake is the idea that I have to be a certain way to access to that.
Oh yeah, that's generally part of the gig of being an individual. It's part and package of the whole thing, is that there's a sense of how you are in relation to the world, and it's always needs to be tweaked and developed. And I always kind of describe it in very simple language as I'm too much one thing and I'm not enough of another thing. So there's a continual sense of trying to have less of this and more of that. And fundamentally, that's that whole energy of feeling like an individual, pushing away one thing and pulling in another.
Yeah.
And that is essentially the rejection of what appears to be in favor of what might be. And what might be is like a model. Like we, as an individual, when I say the story, some people call it a model. It's a model of reality. I kind of like that word as well. And that's really everything that's pouring through is pouring in through that frame of reference of how the world is. And so that model is kind of added to, and things should be, I should be this or I should be that. And also a fundamental sense of inadequacy and unworthiness. Because everything has been lost, the wholeness has been lost. So there's an inherent sense of unworthiness in feeling like an individual.
So with no model, what is the shape of reality?
There is no such thing as reality. Reality is, if you were to describe it, if I was to call it reality, it's just completely indescribable. The individuals, what they think of as reality is just a feedback, is just the model that they are in, that they take to be reality then. So everyone is in their own reality, you could put it that way. And in your own reality, there's a sense in that reality that there is a thing called reality that you can know it, but there's not. Because anything you know is only something that's an abstraction in your reality. That's all it is. So if you want to call what I'm speaking about here a reality, it would be not describable or knowable, or it's, if you could say it's a natural reality, which is the difficulty with calling it that too, because there's no natural or unnatural, but it's not knowable or describable. It's just simply isness, aliveness, which is just all there is already. And the other reality that the person takes to be reality is just a story. That's all it is. It's just a closed loop of knowing that feels completely real until it's seen that it isn't.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.
Hi.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you talk about absolute freedom. So as an individual, I might feel everything's very finite. I'm very limited to whatever's within this awareness. So what do you mean when you talk about freedom like that?
Oh, but all there is absolute freedom. Actually, absolute freedom is just energy, nothing being everything. But if it's absolute freedom, it will also appear to be not free. So that's everything is nothing, nothing is everything. It's all boundless, unknowable, unconditional love, actually. And in that appears a sense that you are a person who is moving in time. So everything is experienced then as finite. Yeah, so there appears to be time and space. Eternity and infinity are what already appears to be. This is eternity and infinity. But because our lived experience sense of separation, there's a sense of moving in the finite and in time, and then using that to try and find the infinite. So it's just a closed loop. It just goes around and round. And thinking that you can use time to find infinity, that's essentially what the individual does. It feels that in the story there's this game that there are people who know, and then people who know they suggest methodology, prescriptive methods on which you can find what you're looking for, and usually they involve using time to find something that's infinite. And the illumination is that the complete and utter futility of looking for what already is. It's totally and utterly futile. And so it can't be, when those words are used, it's not something, it's not coming from knowing or someone who knows something. It's just an illumination. That's not anything that could be understood. Going back to what you said, like about boundless freedom or anything, that's not something that could be held as a concept. And it's actually very simple. This is boundless. This is everything. Nothing is everything. This is boundless. And that can be sensed in this sharing. It can be very obvious. There's can be a boundlessness to it that can be sensed.
It makes no sense, but yeah, I know. Thanks.
Thanks. Hi, yeah.
How are you doing?
Good.
Kenneth, just 2 points. I think it's pretty easy to understand that time is real and unreal. I don't think it takes too much to understand that. That's almost it is self-evident. Time is a construct of the mind so that we can get the boss at the right time and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The other point that comes to my mind is I just wonder why the resonance of this escapes most people, because there is nothing that one can do to achieve it, because there's nothing to achieve, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
I accepting all that is said about this, one wonders why it happens to some and doesn't happen to others.
But it doesn't happen to anybody. That's the thing. It only apparently, the sense of being separate only apparently falls away because it's not actually there to begin with. And the sense of being an individual is so strong. It's the only gig in town, really. And it's a constant feeding of that in the story, that there seems to be just this being lost in that, and that most aren't, for most, there's not an openness to this, because if it's really heard, it's very confronting and threatening. So most would rather much rather tune in to some communicator that's offering something. You know, if you meditate, or if you clean out your chakras really well, give them a really good scrub, then you know it'll open your chances more of falling away and being at one with everything. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But most are drawn to that and don't. This so and the ones then when there is an openness, it's more. It seems to be more now. There's more of a resonance, but that's a story as well. But yeah, it's just what appears to happen. It doesn't matter either. All there is liberation anyway, actually.
Yeah. I just keep asking myself, when will I know whether I have this or not? And of course, the answer is you won't.
Yeah, because it's not. It's not. No, you will never have it. That's the whole sense of being separate, is that you think that there's something that you will one day have, and then you will be there.
Yes.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's just this really felt sense that I'm just going to get something, an experience, a state, knowledge, whatever, and then I'll be there. And actually, it's already the case that there's already what you're actually looking for is already just the case. It's already whatever appears to be happening. But the difficulty with that is it's not knowable. And knowing is only an aspect of you feeling separate. That's all. It's a lived sense of knowing. It's a closed loop of you knowing yourself, which comes from a sense of there being life in you with your life.
Yeah. There's no understanding of this, really, is there?
No. I mean, there's plenty of people that understand what was shared here, and they would be. Now, it wouldn't be very difficult, but they'd articulate it better than Kenneth, and that's totally fine, because it has nothing to do with understanding or knowing at all. That's why I always say that at the beginning of a talk. No, it's not understandable. If you understand what's shared here, then all that it is just a concept. You just have a concept. That's all.
Yeah. It's not even a felt sense at the end of the day. It's not even a felt sense, is it?
Oh no, it is a lived reality. Yeah, the sense of being separate, if it falls away, it's not a concept that, oh, am I there, am I not there, did I fall away, did I not fall away. It's a lived reality of boundless freedom for nobody, and it's just full on life. That's pain, pleasure, everything that appears to happen.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious that that full-on life is actually there is already, and that when people talk, that they you can see from even the way their bodies are held a lot of the time, that they feel that they're in there, and that they've a really lived sense of being separate. And that's just what appears to happen. That will be there till it isn't.
Yeah.
But there's no agenda here for that to fall away or not fall away or anything, because it's obviously just a story.
Sure.
Like fundamentally, what's being suggested here is all you are already is unconditional love, which is just nothing mean everything, which is completely beyond the love that you think of, the interpersonal love, the meeting of needs, the getting of what you want or whatever.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Thanks. Thank you. So someone says the thoughts and feelings that arise do or do not come from past experience when you're a person. If not, where do they come from? So nothing comes from anywhere. Everything is nothing and nothing is everything. So it's just energy. That's all. It's energy as thought, energy as emotion, energy as a computer screen, energy as a chair. And so all there is energy, what it's appearing to happen. And then when you feel, there's a lived sense of feeling like a separate you, it's like a veil, and everything is pouring through the veil of you, So if there's a thought, then it's your thought. You're the owner of everything. If there's a feeling, it's your feeling. If there's a sensation in the body, it's your sensation in the body. Yeah, so on, through all the senses and whatever. And the simple suggestion here, the obvious realization, it's too obvious, is that there's just what's appearing to happen. So if there's a thought, that's what's appearing to happen. If it's an emotion, that's what's appearing to happen. The sensation in the body is what's appearing to happen. If there's something that can be seen, that's what's appearing to happen. There's no you that it's happening to. It's very obvious. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Ken. So I had this question about the pouring through words. In a sense, it led to another question, which is that you really don't need a model of reality whatsoever, or I should say of this, in order to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, just being is just, all there is just aliveness already. But when there's a sense of being separate, there's a lived sense that there's you, and there's a world in which you're moving and negotiating and so on. So that's in that, then there's a model of what's real, and that's what that is. You are that story, if you want.
Yeah, so basically the so-called thought process was, okay, it feels sometimes like time is just pouring downwards. And so, all right, so it doesn't need to come in through the veil. And then I thought, I need to represent this in order to understand it. It's all just, there's no inside and outside for something to be happening too. Like,
not at all. No, not like, none of what I'm saying is understandable at all. Like, there's absolutely nothing required, because it's already the case. This is just a remembering. And when I say about the veil, in the exact same way that I talk about the individual, it's always the apparent individual. There is no individual. It's an energetic sense of being separate, but it's a story.
Yeah. So it's just happening on its own.
It's not even happening, actually. This is nothing appearing to happen. for it to be happening, it feels like it's happening when there's a sense of you, because there's a sense that there's a you that it's happening to. So there's a lived, like time and space are actually really real for you as an individual. And there's a lived sense that things are happening in that, like causality and time are the same thing, really. So there's a real sense that one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and things are really happening in time. And all of that is just from the sense of separation. There's actually, this is nothing appearing to happen, which is completely beyond the mind, obviously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, where's the mind going to go with that one? It's very simple. Like, it's too simple. That's what it's too ordinary and simple. There's just sitting on a chair, sound, whatever's appearing to happen. That's all there is just, and that is boundless energy, which is and isn't. And there's no you and life. It's artificial, or it's a story, whatever words you want to use. Words don't really matter.
Yeah.
So it feels like that until it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But this is already the case. So it's not that like we're going to finish this Zoom in a little while and then, that's the portal is closed, or there's, that this is some opening or whatever. This is inescapable. This is completely what's yearned for when you feel like an individual is completely inescapable. All there is just energy, nothing mean everything. So what you yearn for has never gone anywhere, but the individual, you've gone somewhere looking for it, as in you're just going around and around looking for already what is.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It really is. Oh my God. Oh, thank you.
Thanks. Hi, Jory.
Hey, Kenneth. How's it going? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I totally see how the me can feel separate, and then it's like even in asking a question, it's like reaching to merge. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's one thing that I experience often in these meetings, like feeling like I'm isolated, but I want to come into the fold. And there's something about like asking a question, which that's like the me's way of trying to break the separation. Does that make any sense?
For some, there's a real strong draw to make a comment or to ask a question, and it's an aspect of the communication that there's nothing required of anybody, and that there's an openness in this, in which when there's an engagement in what's being said, that you can ask a question. So it's all energetic, and it's not actually, the question doesn't actually matter. The words of the question to the individual, they can sometimes feel like they really matter. Like, I really need an answer to this, and this is really, and there's the question appears to be asked and it appears to be answered, but there can be an openness to something beyond the question, which is that this is the resonance that I'm speaking about. That there's an openness to what's being suggested, and that's a boundlessness. It's indescribable. But it's not in that question answer dichotomy that the person usually feels it is. Like, as an individual, I'll ask a question, I get an answer, I build my knowledge, I get somewhere. It's just this whole illumination is that it's just very obvious there's nowhere to get to.
Mm, mm,
And so for some, it may be that there's a huge draw to say something that you couldn't even keep it in even if you tried, you just couldn't. It just bubble up. And then for others, like people have been apparently attending these meetings for years, and they never ask anything or say anything. And
yeah.
it's gorgeous because they like, it's very obvious that nothing is being asked of them because they're not even here. So nobody needs to ask or not ask or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. It's one of the few places really that you're just seen as, you're not acknowledged. Your individuality is exposed as being a story. Your sense of being separate is not being fed. And actually all you're being seen as is nothing being everything, which is unconditional love.
Mm, mm, mm,
So there's a resonance with that or there isn't. It doesn't matter. Like someone could come to one of these and listen to it very attentively even, and think it's absolute, total and utter bullshit. And then that's what would appear to be happening. Or for some, there's an enormous resonance with it.
I've been thinking about beliefs a lot lately, and so I don't know if so like if I believe that I'm separate, and I believe that that's true, is that different from me seeing that it's a belief and it's not true, it's just a belief?
No, the beliefs are just irrelevant, completely irrelevant, whether you believe in something. You can, for instance, you could believe everything that I've said this evening and make no difference at all. So never ask anybody to believe anything I'm saying. It doesn't make any difference. Why would you believe it? It's just a concept. It's all within the conceptual loop.
Right, but I mean, if you see that it's just a belief and it's not true, that it's just beliefs, and beliefs are just like,
yeah, but so that's fine. Like there can be all sorts of aspects of this that are seen. You know, it can be that everything, for instance, it could be seen that everything that I took to be true is empty. I'm wrong about everything, actually. You know, that can be seen, that everything I believed is just, it's only a concept. And that could be experienced as somehow freeing or whatever, but that's just what's appearing to happen. It's not a goal or anything. Like, this is concerning a really lived energetic sense that there's a me in here and a world out there.
right,
And this is all energetic.
right,
It's just totally energetic. So that's indescribable when that energetic sense of being in here appears to collapse. It can't be described, but it's not. It's beyond knowing. It's beyond understanding.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That, I mean, to me, that's like what you're describing is almost like the 100% proof versus just like a little bit of
oh yeah, bouncing around in concept or whatever. Yeah,
right. And then it like breaks through for a moment, and then it's like, oh, I think I got it, kind of thing. Yeah,
completely. Yeah,
because like,
there's all.
Sorry, yeah, go for it.
No, go on.
Well, just like the idea that it's so bizarre that like that the realness of all of this, that the belief that something is concrete and real, it's like it's all just, that's all made by believing that it's real, which is so bizarre. That how is it that like beliefs are what's making everything real? It's like ridiculous. It's like the heaviest thing in the world is a belief. Like,
well, I'm not saying that it's beliefs that make it real, though. Beliefs are only an aspect of feeling like a separate individual. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not. It's a lived reality for the individual, that there's everything is real. There's a living in the real. It's not just a belief. There's experientially, there's a sense of being in there in the world out there and moving in time and space.
Yeah.
And so everything appears absolutely real.
Right. Yeah, no, I get that. That's like the 100 proof way. It's like I do see how, like, I'm trying to kind of deconstruct this, like, with my analytical brain, and it's a lot of work, actually. And that's just the way, that's the way I do it. That's just the way this
Yeah, it's just what's appearing to happen. Trying to
Yeah.
understand it is just what's appearing to happen. It
Right.
doesn't mean anything. It's not right or wrong.
But sometimes it's like
the-
light comes out. It's like sometimes it's like, it's like exciting.
Yeah. Oh, like, I mean, and you could have, like, there can be all sorts of insights into all sorts of things, and they're not of any significance, actually. They're just another thing that appears. Like everything that was shared in the past hour or so has nothing whatsoever to do with any kind of experience or state or knowing. No matter how amazing they seem to be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, good. No, that's good. Yeah.
It's very simple. It's very ordinary. It's inescapable. It's just what's appearing to happen.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Lovely to see you.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Thank you,
Take care.
Kenneth.
Thank you,
See you
Kenneth.
soon, guys.
you.
Thanks.
Kenneth.
Thank you.
Thank
See you guys.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See ya.
Take care. Bye.